ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। 24th chapter 7 verse 15। योऽसौ मया विदिततत्त्व दृशा सभायां क्षिप्तो दुरुक्ति विगणय्यतन्माम् अर्वाक्पतन्तम् अर्हत्तम निन्दयापाद दृष्ट्यार्द्रया स भगवान् स्वकृतेन तुष्येत्। I did not know your full glories. For this reason, I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality. But you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. As usual, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. Prabhupada starts with saying as usual, meaning this is known, this is required, this is part and parcel of a devotee. His life as usual. As usual. So it's nothing like special. It's usual that devotees generally take adverse condition of life as mercy of the Lord. Mm. Nothing more needs to be said about it. Like that, conclusive, as usual. So actually, the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. See, which is why we have to be very, very careful dealing with Vaishnava. Mm, if we do a small mistake, we could be really punished. Krishna doesn't tolerate. Um, Krishna doesn't tolerate. Uh, yeah, misbehavior towards Vaishnavas. So Prabhupada is writing here, Daksha, though he was so qualified materially, but he offended Lord Shiva. He was such a great Vaishnava. So Prabhupada is saying, you have been thrown perpetually into hellish life. But Vaishnavas are very kind. But Lord Shiva, being kind toward him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. So we have to understand this. So if we make a mistake, then we might be awarded punishment to neutralize the offense. Otherwise, it will take us into more hellish condition of life. Hmm. So two things we have to note. One is aparadha. Hmm. So if we do seva aparadha, if we do nama aparadha, if we do Vaishnava aparadha, then we will suffer for that. Either, I mean, we can suffer, we might, depends on the offense. Bhakti Devi, actually Vaishnava aparadha, the dust of the lotus feet of the devotee only will not forgive us. Hmm. So not only that we will not make progress in bhakti, we will also suffer for the mistake. And of course, the punishment is is good, because otherwise there's no chance of actually overcoming those offenses. Um, because if it's like tomorrow we are thrown into hellish life, okay, we don't even know that the reason was these offenses. So Bhakti Devi, being merciful, actually she punishes us immediately, so that uh, the offense is neutralized. At the same time, some realization maybe can happen, connecting it to some bad behavior of ours. So not only will we not make progress in bhakti, but we might also suffer. So which is why we have to be very, very careful dealing with devotees. Um, mm, See here it says, I did not know your full glories. So actually every devotee is like this. We cannot know the full glories of a devotee. Sometimes, devotees might have uh, sometimes some very not usual kind of experiences in their life. Um, and we have to be very careful. We cannot just stereotype everybody and say, okay, every devotee has to uh, be like this or like that. No, every devotee is unique. Mm, uh, Devotees whom Krishna has sent to me who have some rare visions, some dreams, and so many. I mean, very out of usual, abnormal kind of experiences. But we cannot just because somebody is going experiencing all this, say that you're crazy or something like that. Because uh, yeah, it's not very easy to understand how bhakti, what kind of experiences people have, etc. So we have to be very careful. Bhakti is inside, and that um, the difficulty actually in Kali Yuga is um bad qualities and bhakti both can coexist in a devotee. Right? That is why actually first time when I read this apit chet suduracharo, um, so that verse in Bhagavad Gita it says even if a devotee does something bad, wrong, he should still be considered a sadhu. And I was wondering, how is it possible that, I mean, these are early days in Bhakti. Yeah, devotee means he should be free from all um, faults, right? But then I realized that Kali Yuga, practicing Bhakti is, it's like all of us, even in spite of all our bad karma, somehow by some great fortune have come in touch with bhakti. So we will be practicing bhakti at the same time we will be in the modes. That's why Kapila Muni, we already discussed this, that devotees are in modes. Even bhakti is performed in modes, while actually Shuddha Bhakti is transcendental to material modes. But because of our conditioned state, somehow we are in the modes, still we are doing bhakti. So we will be misbehaving or we'll demonstrate bad behavior. At the same time, we are doing bhakti. But just because we are doing bhakti, those devotees still have to be respected. It doesn't mean that we close our eyes to whatever wrong doing, but we still have to respect them because they are actually trying to serve Krishna. Because if they didn't have bhakti, they wouldn't be associated. They won't be coming to temple or they won't be associating with devotees, etc. So the fact that they are desiring to do all that means that it is actually the underlying, the supta bhakti, the dormant bhakti is getting awakened. Now, of course, when the dormant bhakti gets fully awakened, the anarthas are all destroyed. So, but when those anarthas are still prevalent, we should not disrespect devotees because of some anarthas they might have. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. But at the same time, like I said, all devotees we should not take this as an excuse, saying that, oh, okay, it's fine, I'm doing bhakti, so I also have some anarthas. It's okay. No, we should put effort, we should sincerely try to overcome these anarthas. But it's very difficult to judge. We shouldn't become judgmental about devotees. It's very, very important. We should understand, yeah, everybody is doing bhakti at the same time. All of us have our own anarthas, and all of us are trying to overcome those anarthas, right? But it doesn't give anybody any right to um, misbehave with devotees. So this is very, very important. If we do that, we get punished. We get punished, or our bhakti really, yeah, seva aparad. If we do seva aparad, then our progress is halted. Seva aparad is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, all kinds of aparads that are possible. which are basically breaking rules, simply put. Seva aparad means breaking rules. Seva has to be done in a particular way. If we break the rules, that seva aparad by itself is not very dangerous. But when we continue to do that or willingly break rules, because of maybe some wrong conceptions, ignorance, etc., etc., then it translates into namaprad. Namaprad means we don't make progress, and Vaishnavaprad means punishment. Namaprad, which is, of course, sadhu ninda, results in punishment. Guru ravagya results in punishment. Right, so some of them result in punishment, some of them result in no progress. Um, right, so we have to be very, very careful. I've seen time and again that somehow devotees fail to recognize when we are interacting with other devotees, we don't see them as Vaishnavas. We see them as normal human beings. Very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Um, so we have to be very careful. Uh, mm, yeah. Which is the reason why, again, time and again, I keep saying that this whole thing about spiritual authority is very, very important to note. Hmm. So one is that we have to recognize spiritual authorities. Second is we have to recognize that the depth of bhakti that one might have is completely internal. We can't judge them. And we are not qualified unless we are in the position of guiding some devotees on their path of bhakti. We are not qualified to criticize others. We are not given the right to criticize other Vaishnavas. Um, Only when we are given the role of actually guiding other devotees on the path of bhakti, we can guide them, not criticize them. Right? So it's a very, very thin line. Because criticism is our normal fallen condition, where we think we are superior, everybody is inferior, so I can just go about criticizing people for what they did. But that's not how Vaishnava dealings are. So, otherwise, it results in punishment, lack of progress, even to the extent of us losing taste for bhakti, or bhakti becomes material, meaning we simply do bhakti like some material activity. So, this is very, very dangerous. That is why that is mad elephant offense, Vaishnava Aparad. King Daksha realized this and feeling obliged for Lord Shiva's magnanimous behavior because he offended Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva demonstrated magnanimous behavior by actually punishing him so that he could rectify, so that the new offense is neutralized. So he wanted to show his gratitude. Actually, this is also very, very important. That in bhakti, we should actually show gratitude to people who are instrumental in our life, in our bhakti life. We have to show gratitude. And we have to, um, keep this in mind. Mm. And this is Dadati Pratigranati. Rupa Goswami says that we have to give and take. We have to give when we have to, mm, yeah, the gratitude should not be just in the mind, it should be expressed, right, in a way that the Vaishnavas actually understand that, okay, this devotee is showing so much gratitude. And because that again opens up the causeless mercy, then devotees shower more mercy on us. So, yeah, if somebody has impacted our life, then we should express, yes, thank you so much. Whatever our feelings are towards that devotee, we should express. Very, very important. Sometimes the father punishes his child. And when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment, but mercy. Of course, many don't even understand this. Prabhupada is saying child realizes when he comes to his senses, but many people don't come to their senses at all, right? So then it becomes very difficult. But ideally, we should come to our senses and we should understand that, oh, okay, some punishment is actually, it's not punishment, but it's actually mercy. Similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. That is the symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. See? So Krishna consciousness means but that we are actually more conscious Normally, we are self-absorbed in false ego, right? Then we cannot see any of these things. We will only see me and my vision. That's all. There's no Guru Sadhu Shastra. But when we start making progress, then we can recognize these things. We'll then, see that, okay, this is whatever somebody is telling me something, it's for my good. More and more, Krishna is giving me an opportunity to serve amongst other devotees of various spiritual levels of progress. I see that many are actually affected by false ego, right? So this false ego makes them, prevents them from actually really seeing the truth, and they will be in their own world, right, of self-pity, because it's all self-centered. They're just seeing everything from their own perspective, and their understanding is just like I'm doing things in material world, I should do things in spiritual world. Meaning, if in the office I am recognized for whatever work people appreciate, same thing has to happen in Krishna consciousness. They forget that whatever we do in Krishna consciousness is not for our recognition or pleasure, it is for Krishna's pleasure, and just by doing it sincerely, Krishna will be pleased. So this is one big thing, right? Not bringing material vision into spiritual activities. And devotees can actually even start to think about this if they do Shravanam, if they read Prabhupada's books. Mm. Otherwise, it'll be like material. Yeah, I'm just engaged in activities of bhakti, but I'm engaged with other devotees, but it's pretty material kind of engagement. Um, no willingness to learn. This is another symptom of lack of Krishna consciousness, right? If we are not asking questions, if we are not trying to rectify ourselves. So this is all like, if you have to know, are we making progress or not? These are the signs. If you are asking questions, if you are concerned about our progress, if you are putting effort, then we are making progress on the path. And such a person, because he or she will hear, then they'll understand, oh, some difficulty in my life, it is Krishna's mercy, right? They will not get bewildered, saying, why me? I've served for such a long time. I should not have, this should not have happened to me. That's a very initial stage. Um, Actually, about 10 years back, I, yeah, I was affected by tuberculosis. And then first thing I said was this: for many years, almost 2, 3 years, I couldn't just overcome it. I was just continuously self-wallowing, self-pity. Why me? So much of suffering, this, that, and all that. So very, very neophyte stage. Of course, when we go through the stages and we understand, we read Shastra, the only benefit for me or mercy was that I was very much into reading Prabhupada's book. So reading these kind of statements, helped me to understand, oh, it's actually Krishna's mercy. Right? But if we don't read these statements and if we don't take them seriously, then we will be in our own world. We'll never be able to recognize or understand bhakti or understand Krishna for that matter. Mm. Yesterday, somebody was asking me, saying that, Prabhu, we should do separate sessions for devotees in our Ulima center. They're saying we should do separate sessions for devotees to understand what is bhakti, what is progress in bhakti, what is Prabhupada's mood, what about our acharyas, how do we know we are making progress? So this is a sign that somebody is actually inquisitive to make progress. And then these questions will come and they'll seek guidance. Right, so it's very important that we read Prabhupada's books. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by the Supreme Person of Godhead. He accepts the miserable condition to be the grace of the Lord. He thinks I would have been punished or put into a more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds. But the Lord has protected me. Thus I have received only a little punishment as token execution of the law of karma. See, I mean, Krishna is so merciful. This is not just some mental speculation. He thinks means doesn't mean that he is just speculating. This is what Shastra is saying. Prabhupada says this multiple times in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So Krishna is protecting me by giving that. Thinking of his grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders, because it's just by Krishna's mercy that my life is going on. That is the mood of a devotee. So he always surrenders to Supreme Lord more and more seriously. See, unfortunately, we tend not to, we oversee these words. So when we are reading this, we will just skip this. It doesn't register in our mind. Hmm. So this is a sign of a progressive devotee. He surrenders more and more seriously. What does that mean? Meaning in surrender there are anukulya sankalpa, pratikulya savarna. Now we might be executing all these rules at certain level of seriousness or certain level of commitment. A devotee is wanting to make progress. He's always trying to raise the bar on this surrender. Okay, 95% I'm there. Okay, now I'm going to increase it to 96%, 97%, 98%, 100%. Hmm. And such a devotee is not disturbed by such so-called punishment. Very important. Hmm. So, which is why as devotees, we should never lament for suffering. We should never lament about suffering. We should always remember it's Krishna's mercy. How it is Krishna's mercy, we cannot understand. But simple way to understand is that some anartha is getting destroyed. Either we have too much attachment to the material body, so Krishna is taking it away. Either we have too much attachment to money, so Krishna is taking it away. Either we have too much attachment to family, Krishna is taking it away. So that, he's clearing the path for us to go back to him. That's all, simplistically, right? But yeah, each and every devotee's situation will be different, etc., etc. Mm. So this is the mercy of the Lord we have to do. Maitreya Uvacha क्षमाप्यैवं समीढ्वांसं ब्रह्मणा चानुमन्त्रितः कर्म सन्तानयामास सोपाध्यायर्त्विगादिभिः. The great sage Maitreya said, thus being pardoned by Lord Shiva, King Daksha, with the permission of Lord Brahma, again began the performance of the yajna along with the great learned sages, the priests and others. Thereafter, in order to resume the activities of sacrifice, the Brahmanas first arranged to purify the sacrificial arena of the contamination caused by the touch of Virabhadra and other ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. Then they arranged to offer into the fire the oblations known as Purodasha. Lord Shiva's followers and devotees headed by Virabhadra are known as Veeras, and they are ghastly demons. Not only did they pollute the entire sacrificial arena by their very presence, but they disturbed the whole situation by passing stool and urine. Therefore, the infection they had created was to be first purified by the method of offering Purodasha oblations. A Vishnu yagna or an offering to Lord Vishnu cannot be performed uncleanly. To offer anything in an unclean state is called seva aparada. Please note, please note. I've been telling this multiple times. Unclean. We all understand what this means, right? So this whole unclean business, there are various aspects of it. And I've also told this before. Matajis should not enter the temple during this time. Very recently, like last week also, somebody contacted me saying that, Prabhu, even during this period, I have been asked to come to the temple. I said, please don't go. Your bhakti is going to suffer. Whoever is saying that, maybe they might get affected, not affected. Of course, because they'll be themselves doing it, so they'll be affected. But I told that Mataji, please don't go. It's a seva aparad. Like simple things like, if you see a dead body, we can't enter a temple. Mm, See, not go to a crematorium. If you simply see a dead body, we are not supposed to go to the temple. Uh, so many rules are there, right? So we have to be very, very careful. It results in seva aparad. Worship of Vishnu deity in the temple is also Vishnu yagna. See, in all Vishnu temples, therefore, the priest who takes care of the archana vidhi must be very clean. Everything should be always kept neat and clean, and the foodstuff should be prepared in a neat and clean manner. All these regulative principles are described in the Nectar of Devotion. There are 32 kinds of offenses in discharging Archana service. So please read it from Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada has given all this information. It is required, therefore, that one be externally careful not to be unclean. Generally, whenever any ritualistic ceremony is begun, the holy name of Lord Vishnu is first chanted in order to purify the situation. Whether one is in a pure or impure condition, internally or externally, if one chants or even remembers the holy name of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, one immediately becomes purified. Now, having said this, this is not an excuse. This is just in emergency conditions, or we just like, yeah, sometimes knowingly, unknowingly, some, we would have come in touch with some impure condition. For that, right, but not willingly breaking rules. That is seva aparadha. That Prabhupada has already told. This also, reading, this how it works. So if that was not a seva aparadha, Prabhupada would have written this statement only first, saying that it's okay, there are various in unclean situations, but if you just chant the name of Krishna, everything is purified. No. But first he said to offer anything in unclean state is a seva aparadha. So that means that is also true. This is also true, but this cannot be taken as an excuse. The Yajna arena was desecrated by the presence of Lord Shiva's followers headed by Virabhadra, and therefore the entire arena had to be sanctified. Although Lord Shiva was present and he is all auspicious. See, it was still necessary to sanctify the place because his followers had broken into the arena and committed so many obnoxious acts. We cannot just say that, yeah, presence of somebody, Supreme Lord is present, so everything is pure. No. Lord Shiva was present, all auspicious, but still there is purification process happening. The sanctification was possible only by chanting the holy name of Vishnu, Trikapala, which can sanctify the three worlds. In other words, it is admitted herein that the followers of Lord Shiva are generally unclean. They are not even very hygienic. They do not take baths regularly. They wear long hair and they smoke ganja. Persons of such irregular habits are counted amongst the ghosts. Since they were present in the sacrificial arena, the atmosphere became polluted and it had to be sanctified by Trikapala oblations, which indicated the invocation of Vishnu's favor. Okay, so there are processes also to be followed if there is some, like this impurity. Archana service is very, very, we can't take it lightly. Bhagavata Vidhi is okay. In Bhagavata Vidhi, there are no unclean or unclean. Yeah, during unclean period also one can chant, one can read, one can hear, etc. But yeah, Archana is very, very serious business. We can't just take it lightly. Yeah, even it's also generally recommended that even books, especially during for Matajis, it's better during this time to read from online, not touch Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, because they are as Bhagavatam is like literary incarnation, right? So better not to, yeah. So read online, right? So we should try to follow these things. It just builds up our consciousness. Just mm, ignoring these things just makes us, our Krishna consciousness will be so much so, uh, what should we say? Mm, yeah, it's a very low stage, like very neophyte kind of stage, right? So, and many devotees also do this in the name of Raganuga Bhakti, which is absolutely misunderstanding. Raganuga Bhakti doesn't give us right to break rules. In fact, Raganuga Bhaktas externally follow all the rules. Again, for these things, we have to read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we have to understand. And many times, reasoning that I'm given is we are so attracted that we cannot just be outside the temple. But unfortunately, we can't create our own rule. We have to follow, right? So we have to read this nectar of devotion and follow those rules. Then we can make progress. Okay, I'm stopping here. If anybody has any questions, comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji.
I just had a doubt, Prabhuji, when we were talking about Daksha and Lord Shiva,
Mm-hmm.
and we said when he was so envious that that was material consciousness, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then when he got ahead of
Good.
this thing, his consciousness rose above with it. But both the bodies were material, no Prabhu. So, like even in Daksha stage, he's got a material body, and even in the goat stage, he's got a material body. But
Mm.
you do carry the consciousness, like how Bharat Maharaj carried it to the next this thing.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was material. It was not above material consciousness,
Correct, correct.
Prabhu.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Shruti Mataji also asked me this question a couple of days back, and see, basically, we two things actually. Now that you are describing asking the question, I got one more realization. See, when Daksha's position originally was very high, right? Highly elevated, highly respected, and hence full of pride, full of arrogance. Okay, so one is when somebody falls down from their glory, material glory, they'll wake up, right? This is one. So when Daksha realized that, oh, his head is gone. So obviously, he was intelligent enough, right? So to understand that it was a punishment, right? Like I said, Daksha was just arrogant. It's not that he didn't know basic principles of good behavior or anything like that. It's like, yeah, not like Kali Yuga people, right? So he knew that, oh, if this has happened to him, because he was a Prajapati, so he's like that kind of, awareness, knowledge, etc. So he obviously knew that because his head was gone, he's replaced. So first means that he had died. And they know, okay, if I have to die untimely, that means that I've done something wrong. So Daksha clearly realized that he had done a great offense, right? So the change of this head actually for him was a understanding of the seriousness of his problem, of his situation. So, and now that his head was gone, obviously it's a big like for people seeing, they know, oh, he's been punished. So his false ego not actually very just he lost his false ego, right? It got killed because he knew that now he's made a mistake and the whole world knows about it. So he's like no big Prajapati now, right? So his false ego was vanquished, and so that was one reason that he came to his senses. Right? The other is the presence of Lord Shiva himself. Right? Is such a auspicious, powerful Vaishnava that the combination actually had a great impact. And um, he also realized that it was mercy, right? Like he's been saying. So he clearly recognizes that it was the mercy of Lord Shiva. And so, like we read in one of the verses saying that with love and with devotion and reverence, he looked at Lord Shiva, right? So how did he even be able to look at Lord Shiva with devotion and reverence? Because he realized that he's been punished. And because he was a sane person, he was not insane. He was a sane person. He could put all these things together, and he was an intelligent person, and he was a qualified Brahmana, etc. So he could put all these things together and say, okay, I have fallen, and it's only
And it
just mercy. It's just mercy of Lord Shiva. And so he became humble. Became humble and humility. That is why this humility comes only when we are beaten up, especially for those of us who egos are very, very, strong, very powerful false egos we have. We get beaten up, then only we realize. So he got beaten up, major one. I mean, like you got killed. Somebody got killed, and then not just that, he just woke up after that, right? He just woke up and without a head, and he had to be given some other head. As in, it's not an ordinary situation, right? So yeah, he clearly realized his mistake. So he became humble.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Yeah,
it became a necessity also. No, see, Lord Shiva was present even before, but his
yeah,
envy was very high. It was
yeah,
very, very high. Like
yeah.
how we punish a child and tell them, okay, don't do this, and
Mm,
when he understands the consequences of what has
yeah,
happened,
yeah,
then you anything in the material world, a cyber crime or extramarital, we want it, and the person goes through, it becomes a necessity for him to understand not to commit that mistake again.
Yeah.
So his consciousness rises. So the same thing happened with Daksha, right,
Yeah.
Prabhu?
Yeah.
Now when he saw that Lord Shiva was right, and out of humility, out of experience, he changed. The consciousness changed.
Yeah,
In
I
the
mean,
material,
this
in the material
basically the
world,
real.
yeah. Another question I have, Prabhu.
Yeah, just to summarize that. So basically, his understanding of his real position, that he had done a mistake, he had actually died, and he got a replacement, he got a rebirth, he got a new birth, and that his recognition that it was Shiva's mercy that he punished him and help him
Right.
overcome his offense. This whole realization made him humble, and hence
Yes.
the whole change in heart.
Fine.
Yes.
Prabhu, one question, though it's not relevant from the chapter. Prabhu, we say when we see Krishna, like at the time of death, or we think of him also, we get elevated, go back to Godhead, right? Like for Bhishma Dev, they said like he did not go back to Godhead, he went to Parthal Loka or something.
No,
Now,
who said?
Yesterday in one of the lectures I had
No,
heard this. So
no.
I was wondering because he did go back to in the Vishnu form.
Yeah.
He went back to Vishnu Loka because he worshipped Lord Vishnu. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Prabhupada has
exactly.
clearly mentioned in the purport in the this one. So he says he was a worshipper of Parthasarathi, form of the
Yes.
Lord. He went to the
Huh.
Vishnu Loka where Parthasarathi resides.
Okay, so it's not Parthasati. Is
Parthasarathi
Vishnu?
is
Is
that
Vishnu
form, yeah, Vishnu form.
of Vishnu
It's a
form?
Vishnu form.
So,
Because see, Bhagavatam very clearly says, right? Because when Krishna was standing, when Bhishma Dev looked at him, he saw the 400 Parthasarathi form, which was his Aradhya Deva. And so, how can, I mean, Krishna has promised saying that, if you
and,
Manmanabha Madbhakta, how can he then go somewhere else?
yeah.
No, I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes it's
because
scary. These kind of statements,
no,
I
like
don't know.
I could have misunderstood it. Like now, like
Okay,
I know
please.
because I knew like he went back to Vishnu Loka.
Yeah,
Like can you worship for Parthasati? Like so
yeah.
I said he go. I mean like how does this like he goes to Vishnu Loka or well Parthasati form is there? That is Vishnu in Parthasati form,
Yes,
right,
yes,
Prabhu?
yes, yes.
Acha. Another question I want to ask. Jay and Vijay were punished, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
say when you look at when the Lord is there, then why did it take three janmas for them? Okay, I mean, if you said tell me it's a past time. भगवान के सामने मरते हैं भगवान से मरते हैं देन तीन लोग का प्रभु फिर मेरा तो क्या हाल होगा पता नहीं कितने जन्म होंगे
No, but see, that mercy, not all of us are going to get. We are not going to get that mercy. That
no,
mercy was
the
given
Lord
to
is
Jai and
there.
Vijay because they're so dear to the Lord. See,
Yeah,
just imagine.
three jumps, Prabhu. He's been killed by the Lord. He's facing the Lord. He's in whether he's
No,
thinking
but
negative about the Lord. See, like
yeah.
Ajmal was given a chance immediately. He went back immediately. नारायण बोला अगला जन्म मिला चांट किया हरिद्वार गया भगवान के पास चला गया इनको तो इतना इंटेंसली भगवान को whether negatively they remembered, yes, but they were killed by the hands of the Lord, yeah.
No, but
Like and still three
yeah.
janam Prabhu. हमारे को कितने janam? I mean,
No, actually, we
I
are
fail to
making
understand this.
the comparison is not correct. See, we have to
Okay, fine.
understand, right? We have to
But
understand that Jai and Vijay are eternal
yes,
servants of the
eternal
Lord.
associates.
Right
Yes,
now, the eternal associates of the Lord, what is their only reason for existence? Their only reason for
serve Lord.
existence is the pleasure of the Lord.
The Lord. Yes, Prabhu.
Krishna wants them to go to hell, they're ready to go to hell. If Krishna wants them to become enemies, they're ready to become enemies. If Krishna
Fine.
wants them to do anything, they're ready to do anything because they know in whatever the Lord wants them to do, Lord is pleased. Now,
Yes,
why
Prabhu.
Lord is pleased, how Lord is pleased, they're not questioning. They're not questioning all that. Oh, you're pleased with this? Gopi said, okay, we are ready to give the dust from our lotus feet. We are going to go to hell forever? No problem. Right? Now, this is the mood of the surrender devotees, pure devotees who don't think the way we are thinking because they have never out of Krishna consciousness. So whether
Yes,
they were
yes,
in
Prabhu.
Kamsa, whether they were in, Shishupala or whatever, I
Yes,
mean,
Prabhu.
their consciousness was always in Vishnu, is always in Krishna. So they never felt that like three janmas or whatever, right? I mean, It's just service, and every time they do service, they are happy. Okay, the Lord is pleased because this is what the Lord wants from me, right? So, and Ajamila is anyway sadhana siddha, right? That all of us can also go through Ajamila's situation, right? Ajamila's comparison can happen with all sadhana bhaktas, right? But not Jai Vijay. Jai Vijay are Nitya
Okay.
Siddhas, right?
Okay.
So we have to
I got
understand
it.
the difference,
Yes, no, I
right?
understood, Prabhu. Like, see,
Yeah,
they are playing a part, like they play
yeah,
in a drama, and we are actually going
absolutely.
through it. We are going
Yeah,
through it because of our karma, and
yes.
they're not going through because of
Yeah,
karma.
yeah. And they are, like
They're
you
going
said,
through for
yeah.
the pleasure of the Lord.
Yeah,
Fine.
they are
Yeah.
because
Yes.
otherwise,
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Lord has to come here to do certain things, and he has roles that others have to play, and they are just happy. Okay, whatever. And not like, I like this service, I don't like that service. Vishnu,
Yes.
don't
Yes.
put me into this position. What will the world speak about me? And they will all, curse me. No, they don't care. What did gopis care for the world? They don't care, right? This is pure devotion, where there's no sense of material existence at all. A very, very exalted state. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It
Yeah.
was just into my. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
Very good.
Anything else? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, wonderful.
None of
So, Prabhu, you have mentioned, we should not be judgmental to the devotees or to the non-devotees because each and everyone are carrying their own avatars.
Yeah.
So, it is how to do, because to the devotees, okay, much of extent we can practice, but when we are trying to bring a non-devotee, like saying to come to Krishna consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
like in that position, like if they commit mistake or in how at that time we can deal, Prabhu,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah. Good question. So, see, basically, we have to understand that we are not here to be judgmental. If somebody is seeking our guidance, for example, say we brought somebody to Krishna consciousness, brought in the sense, then they are also looking up to us for guidance, etc. Like I said, we are responsible to actually guide them, make sure that they don't do such wrong things and they learn the right things, etc., etc. In which case, it is a father's punishment kind of approach, right? Like where with love and affection, with kind of compassion, we'll teach them so that they can actually follow the right path. Judgmental means that, hey, you are wrong, you're doing this, like you don't pass, like like materially it happens, no? Like if there is some fight between two people, some
mm,
age old some incidents people will bring and then declare, no, no, you don't care for me at all, like that, like material is just like a father. He's not accumulating all the child's of mistakes, and then at once going to take out everything, all that frustration on him, right? That's what we do on the material front. But when it comes to spiritual, every occasion we will try to correct. Again, like I said, if we have the authority to correct, then we will correct the other person. And we'll help them make progress. But really, that's not so much of the problem, because if somebody is actually looking up to us for guidance, whatever we say, they'll be ready to accept. And we don't normally end up making a mistake there. We end up making a mistake where we should not advise, we will go and advise, right?
mm,
Or when we
mm,
see other devotees who are peers with us and to whom we cannot go and correct, and they're doing something wrong, and again they're doing the same thing, and you're frustrated about why they are doing this, it's not correct, and then it results in these kind of offensive situations. All right. So those situations we have to understand. Okay, if somebody is really doing something wrong, if possible, we can go and inform the person from whom the devotee is taking guidance, so that we bring that to the attention of the devotee who is guiding that particular person, and then that devotee can figure out how to pass on the message, or how to teach that devotee or whatever, right? But we don't go into this, oh, like I mean, we think, yeah, we're all great, right? So we think that we can just offend somebody, or we can correct them in front of others, or yeah, or um, we have the authority to get upset with them. We are entitled to get upset with them. These things and all, we should not think, yeah, somebody is doing something wrong. Yes, we don't have to close our eyes. At the same time, we might not be in the position to actually correct them. We can bring that to their authority so that they can deal with them.
okay, okay.
Okay.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for this.
Okay. Anything else? ओके, तो we'll close here. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां वैष्णवेभ्यो अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
हरे
Dandavat
कृष्ण।